how to lead and engage your teams when you're remote, right? Because it is important. Before I jump in, one of the things I'll say is, in a way, you're looking to create an environment almost like you could walk down the hall and see each other. Back in the day when we weren't remote and we could walk down the hall and see each other, or meet in the break room, or on the way to and from the cafeteria or coffee. As the leader, you're looking to create those kinds of connections and opportunities. So that's something to think about. From a work perspective, depending on what you do, try to make the work as engaging as possible. Now, everyone in class, your various industries may lend to that, which is great, but it also might not. And so I think a challenge some of us have when we're working remotely is, if the work isn't engaging, it's harder to be motivated. And that can still be true when we're together in person, but it's that, being in touch with one another, maybe making jokes over the cubicle wall, seeing each other walking around, that lightens things up and helps us stay motivated. So ideas about making the work engaging: we don't want to be too process heavy, which means we want to trust people. So we don't want to have too many remote processes unless your company really calls for it. We don't want to have too many rules. I'm not saying don't have any rules, but is it necessary to make people check in every hour? Do you really need people to send you a note when they're going to and from lunch? Unless, you're covering phones or providing coverage for one another. So think about the kind of processes that are enough to get the work done in an organized fashion without over-engineering things. Don't have too many rules, give people trust. Recognize people who do well and name them in a positive way. And maybe even ask your top performers to share tips, so that when you get together for your meetings, whether they're Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or whatever else you use, maybe call on somebody every week to give a tip of the week. Definitely regular and positive communication. And this depends on what works in your environment. Maybe you, instead of, when you're in the office together and you could walk around and say hi, maybe now you send out a quick, instant message that's meant to be a positive good morning and not a I'm checking up on you kind of thing. So think about how you can communicate in a way that lets people know you're here and you care, but no, I'm not like lurking and checking to make sure you're logged on. Use appropriate, like GIFs and emoticons and emojis to express appreciation. So, online in social media, we use GIFs and memes and things. So send those back and forth as appropriate. We want to be really careful that they're appropriate for work. We don't want to get in trouble. Stick to cat videos or whatever is going to be appropriate, but not in any way controversial or offensive. That's probably a comment maybe for more of some of my colleagues.
We agree.
Be very careful what you use. But we're working remotely, and sometimes your communications are almost going to feel like a text or a social media thing. So if it's not a formal communication, treat it in a fun kind of way.